Todd Shapiro Show. Canada Laughs. SiriusXM 168.
The spaces almost, and Jeff, we saw this in Polycon, which felt like the spaces are almost even sort of merging a bit, and that holds true to kind of your, these types of publicly traded companies that are doing this stuff and accepting it, and that's sort of leading to people really believing in the space even more. Is that sort of like an accurate statement? Jeff, did I say that well?
Yeah, no, I totally agree, Todd. And I think when you look at this, initially it was sort of the mining side. And now you're starting to see a lot of services sides come into it. And as Michael Frank was saying, when you look at the industry as a whole, it's maturing. You're getting more mainstream adoption. You're getting institutional money coming in. You're getting those institutional validation from it. So when you look at the entire picture, the whole industry is maturing. And when that happens, you start to see different factors join and come. So I think we're really at the beginning stages and seeing that sort of process begin.
We got some fun guys hanging out with me today, Michael and Jeff. Derek Sagan and Jay Martin, both amazing comics. Do you have any questions about this? And feel free to ask anything. These guys are cool with it. Derek, I'll start with you.
Well, my own I'm happy to hear that the last 4 or 5 weeks has been on the upswing, but I still find people making jokes. Isn't it always a joke on Saturday Night Live? Like, oh yeah, what are you gonna? Your smart retirement thing is Bitcoin.
Well, that's a good point. Is that part of sort of like this fear mongering stuff, guys?
I think that's part of the mainstream. Right? When you got Saturday Night Live talking about it, sorry to cut you off, Mike, but that's part of it going mainstream. And as Michael pointed out, there's huge volatility. There was huge volatility. It seems to be, easing up a bit with that sort of becoming more adopted. But that's my point on it. Mike, jump in. Sorry to cut you off.
I guess it's becoming a lot more difficult. I guess over the last a year ago or several months ago. To even 4 or 5 months ago, just to buy coins, you have to go to a lot of these exchanges. It's a bit of a complicated process. You see a lot more exchanges coming out, making it easier for retail investors or traditional investors to buy these coins and to look at it as a real commodity. But I guess as I mentioned before, the institutions that are standing behind it obviously are giving it wide acclaim and supporting it. Obviously, you may read in the papers like on the weekend you had like Warren Buffett, sort of knocking it, and some other major players. But on whole, we see that there has been a much bigger acceptance from the bigger institutions in the U.S. and supporting Bitcoin trading and the whole currency as really a commodity as gold, for instance. So I think there's obviously room to improve, but it has made a lot of progress.
And just before I get to Jay Martin here, who wants to chime in, I one of the neat things, and you can search this a little more, is the amount, of just really things you can buy now with cryptocurrencies. And there's sort of this joke, you can't buy things. No, there's a lot of things you can buy. And it's funny, one of our segments we have next week, Bill, already planned for New York, is we have a list of things you can, like, that people didn't think you could already buy, that you can buy. Anything from homes to some fun stuff like on Pornhub. There's a lot. No, I'm being serious. Vergecoin is now associated with that.
Yeah.
Jay Martin.
Well, as you say it, gentlemen, you're absolutely correct. What Derek said, it was on Saturday Night Live. Anthony Anderson, star of Blackish, was here in Toronto last night for a big expo on it. John Paul hosted it as well with him. And they were letting us know that a lot of celebrities are coming out to tell you what you can do with it and use it as another form of course, financing to pay for things. One person compared it to the Uber of taxis, which I found very interesting in the comparison to those that don't know about it, saying like how Uber is like that freelance thing that everyone enjoys, that's cool about it, that's downtown with it, and those people that are like, governing the taxi cabs are like, no, and spreading the rumors, is it safe? So that's the comparison someone gave to that. Would you say, gentlemen, that that's accurate in a little bit of a way? And I'm doing the positive sense on this. I'm trying to figure this out.
Yeah, I think there has been a sort of a bigger fear around using these type of currencies in the past, but it is progressing to give people a lot more comfort by having some of the major players endorse it. And you have sites, I believe, like Amazon, some of the other larger e-commerce websites looking to accept it as currency. Mm-hmm. That's only going to make people a lot more comfortable with the process. But I think that's a good analogy. Uber. Is sort of a mode of transportation people are getting a lot more
disruptive.
Yeah, disruptive, and getting a lot more accustomed to. And you're going to see, I think, a lot a lot of this on the crypto side, not only with some of the bigger coins like Ethereum or Bitcoin, but some of the other coins or other retailers or businesses that have their own type of a token. So it's an evolving process. There's a lot of education involved, and it's becoming a lot more easier to use because I guess the people are embracing it, and there is a lot of tools out there to make you understand more efficiently. And obviously, people like Jamie Dimon from J.P. Morgan, knocking it, then accepting it, and there's more and more mainstream, bigger players accepting the process. So obviously, you've got a few naysayers, but I think we're making a lot of progress in the sector.
Cool.
Yeah, and the progress will continue to happen. And the other thing is people need to do due diligence. Be careful before you invest in certain things, and look for there's no one's going hiding from the fact that there has been some scam stuff on some of the ICOs and things like that. And I think that's the one thing I always try to remind people. But it's kind of really fun. Even Bilal got into it recently. Like, dude, you're up like 35%, right? You're having some fun.
Everybody knows I'm not big on due diligence, so
You killed me.
let me cut to the chase. Is this a good time to get in? I won't hold you to it or anything. I'm just wondering, is this a good time, or was like 4 weeks ago the time, or in 4 weeks from now?
I think right now, some of the market has pulled back, and there is still a bit of volatility. But I would say I think right now is a good time to get back in, and start building position. And obviously, some people hold coins for the longer term, and they trade some trade some. So it all depends on your appetite. Like the stock market, there's
give you an idea of my whole portfolio is all pot stocks. So
that's been volatile too and it's come off. So everything in life is timing, right? So timing is important when you buy some of the coins. And
hence the question: is this the right time?
Put that foot on him.
I said I think briefly before. I think it's a good time right now.
All right, I'm in. I'll get paid in cash for all these shows this weekend. I'm going to dump it right in.
One thing that, Todd, you and I have talked about in the past, and I think it's important about sort of the disruptive nature of this, of cryptocurrencies and the good that it does. When you think about like third world countries, what cell phones did, banking the unbanked, well, this is that next evolution. And that's something I think you have to, keep in mind as well. Part of the threat to the mainstream is that it takes sort of the control out of the bricks and mortar guys and gives it to the people. And when you have a movement like that, there's a lot of momentum behind it. And I think, I think we're at the beginning stages of that. I think there's a lot of really good that comes from this as well. It's not just financial gain for people who are,
No, it's the ability just to use a currency. I mean, the amount of people in this world who have cell phones but don't have bank accounts is astonishing. And now, if you have a cell phone, you'll be able to have this sort of decentralized bank account, which allows people to exchange stuff, their coins for your services or your goods or whatever. And it's creating marketplace where marketplace couldn't exist. So there's so much positivity coming down the road. And I always remind people, just wait till like Amazon comes out with their coin. Once these real big guys start just introducing it to the rest of the world, people would have said probably, years, in the past going, I should have just done it then before I think I was too afraid of it. And
those guys at Canadian Tire like, we've been doing this for 100 years.
It's so true though. It's that's actually a phenomenal example. Air miles are like that. Canadian Tire dollars are like that. Yep. It's just you never thought of them as a cryptocurrency. It's so true. Yeah, Canadian Tire should be
Canadian Tire should be like, we told you. You treated us like consumers, distributed it, and got rid of it. Man.
Well, thanks, guys. That's been a lot of fun. Jeff Stevens, Michael Frank from datametrics.com, and Michael Frank, CEO of Ronin Blockchain. And we look forward to more announcements with Ronin and you guys going public soon, right?
Yes, sir. We look forward to coming back on, talking more about our evolution, but that's going to be around the corner. So appreciate your hosting us and, look forward to further discussion.
All right. Cheers, guys. Jeff, thanks for hanging out.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Nice to meet you guys.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
The Todd Shapiro Show, Canada Laughs, SiriusXM 168.